Hi,
Hey,
Bishop Moore community. Welcome to the next Movies in Review. And this week we have our special guest, Paul Milot, a good friend of mine. Paul, how you doing?
doing great. It's good to be here.
Awesome.
Thanks. Thanks for inviting me.
I see that you are at Bishop Moore.
I am standing in the parking lot as we speak. No, that is
Wonderful.
a complete lie. Forgive me, folks.
Okay, so let's get right into the review, people. This week we have chosen the epic musical kind of masterpiece about the life of Mozart, entitled Amadeus. This is a 1984 release from Orion. This is rated PG, so it's good family fun for everybody. It, of course, does have some strong themes of betrayal and vice and the battle between the soul and sin. So, but that's the reason why we're reviewing it, because it has such deep content. Just to give everyone a brief summary, it's a theatrical representation of the life of Mozart. So not 100% true, not a documentary, but it kind of chronicles two characters. One, Mozart, who is portrayed in the movie as kind of this very fun-loving savant genius who really doesn't take much responsibility for his actions or his life and kind of expects everyone to recognize his genius around him. And he's juxtaposed to the character of Salieri, who was a contemporary composer in Vienna, an Italian-born composer who would have interacted with Mozart during his life, would have kind of, in a certain sense, been his competition as well. And the story, we meet Salieri first when the movie opens. He's very old, and he's just tried to take his own life in despair, and he ends up in an insane asylum, and a priest comes to visit him, and he recounts to the priest in his confession his exploits of his encounters with Mozart and how Salieri's expectations of who God wanted him to be did not match the experience he had in his life. So Paul and I, we were able to watch this, and kind of in our discussions beforehand, a lot of themes come forward of basically revenge and vengefulness and being jealous. Salieri's character is very, very jealous of Mozart because he has all this God-given talent that Salieri feels he himself did not inherit. Paul, is that a fair interpretation of the story?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You go in sort of thinking, oh, this is going to be a movie about Mozart, and it really isn't. It's about this inner struggle of Antonio Salieri, exposing his lifelong pathetic journey through really the deadly sin of envy. Um,
Yes.
because he really did appreciate Mozart's music talent. And I mean, talent doesn't even seem to be the right word for it. So, and he had never, ever had a problem admitting that directly to Amadeus in the moments that it was proper for him to give him compliments.
Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
really was just so upset with God.
We see a good example in this movie of how expectations on relationships, especially unrealistic ones, that are self-serving, as Salieri so aptly shows us. How can expectations or bad expectations in relationships really erode away at them?
We're in very much of a show off kind of state of affairs with social media. Um, Got to always present ourselves like we're having this rock star life, even at the age of 14. And it just continues all through high school. And many people in my generation are very happy that we didn't have that sort of distraction when we were kids, because we'd probably be reacting to it a lot the same way kids today are. And what comes with that is a lot of envy and a lot of, um, you know, unnecessary looking inward at oneself, and uh, having this unnatural light shined on the things that I don't have, the gifts I don't have,
Yeah.
and it gets us feeling bad about ourselves.
I think it's right. It's so relatable to us nowadays, where sometimes in our culture, love can be seen as utilitarian, as a way to fulfill our need to be recognized, our need for attention, all good needs. It is truly one of the most blissful experiences is to look at the face of God and for God to look back at us and to receive infinite attention, really. And that's the beatific vision that we'll have, but that's pure and that's unmanipulated, and it's not selfish at all. It's self-giving. Paul, what would you say is the solution to jealousy? We all deal with jealousy in our lives, and at the emotional level, the mental level, the spiritual level, it can really infect us. How do we overcome that as followers of Christ?
When we're so caught up in envy, it makes it so hard for us to be pleased with other people and to celebrate their gifts and to celebrate their achievements.
Mm,
Kind of likens me back to the litany of humility, which is a difficult prayer, but that's what that's all about. It's like, how can I decrease so that the people around me can increase? And by doing that, that abundancy mindset also increases me too, because now I'm
mm,
filled with more joy and peace and less anxiety and less worry about the future, which I know is a big problem
mm.
that young people struggle with.
Amen. Well, thanks so much, Paul, and thanks for taking the time to watch Amadeus with me. And all great, deep thoughts, and really appreciate your time with us, man.
Oh, it was my pleasure. We got to do this again for sure.
Absolutely. And thanks to all our viewers on YouTube here for joining us. Go and watch this movie, Amadeus. It is well worth it. It also has such a wonderful soundtrack, of course, most of it Mozart's own music. And really take some time to contemplate in your life, where have you allowed false expectations to creep into your relationship with God? Where have you struggled in the past or maybe right now in your life to fail to celebrate others and jealousy has gotten in there? So Paul, once again, I want to thank you, man, and appreciate your time.
It was great. Great fun.
All right, talk to you later.
Go Hornets.